If you like my videos, please like, share, and subscribe. It's the only way my channel can grow. Thank you. Hello everybody, Batman QC here. If you tuned into yesterday's episode, you got to witness the highs of the highs. Today, we're looking at the lowest of the lows. These are the bottom of the barrel, the thinnest of thins. These are as stinky as a fart in church. These are, without a doubt, the worst retro Batman video games ever. When I was compiling this list, it was tough for me to narrow it down to just 5. Just like with the best of, the worst of has got a lot of bad games. Once again, nothing after 2009 will be admitted. But honestly, I don't think there have been many bad games out since then. So let's get this big bowling ball rolling and get it started with number 5. Number 5 is Batman Forever by Acclaim, specifically the Super Nintendo version. The game was released in 1995 and should not be confused with Batman Forever the arcade game, which is also utter tripe, but just not as big of a bowl as this one. The game is a 2-player simultaneous beat-em-up, which tries its best to mimic the style of Final Fight, but it fails miserably. If you choose to play this horrible wretch of a game, the story goes that the Riddler and Two-Face have taken over Gotham City and kidnapped Dr. Chase Meridian. The graphics look great, with nice digitized sprites, but the problem is the clunky controls and stiff animation. I've seen better animation in a flipbook. Also, it's not too often that you get to see loading times with a cartridge release. If you thought only PS1 owners had the luxury of load times, then you were mistaken. I think if they would have ditched the whole Mortal Kombat realism, the game may have turned out a whole lot better. I guess we'll never know. Number 4 brings us to Batman the Caped Crusader by Ocean Software in 1988. The game was developed by Special Effects Software, which would explain the high quality in terms of graphics and animation. The game is an action-adventure with a definite unique feel. It displays the action as if it were inside of a real comic book. In the upper left-hand corner is a caption box, similar to a real comic. Every time you enter a new room, a new panel would open up and the old one would fade away. The game is split into 2 stories. The first one is A Bird in the Hand, which features the Penguin, and the other is A Feat Worse Than Death, which stars the Joker. Now, even though the game is labeled an action-adventure, it's very thin on action and more on puzzle solving. The puzzles were very difficult, at least to my 14-year-old self. I understand Batman is a Dark Knight detective, but this is a bit ridiculous. The enemies will keep respawning, making it very difficult to get through the levels. You do get to punch and kick the enemies, and your Batarang is also available. The game came out a full year before the 1989 Tim Burton movie, so some of the influences are from the Adam West TV show. Influences such as Batman sliding down the bat pole when the game starts. This is something that only ever occurred in the TV show. Coming in at number 3 is Batman Returns for the Amiga, released in 1993 by GameTech. What a difference a switch in developers make. The last Batman game released by Ocean was a really good hybrid of minigames including platforming and driving. Since this is no longer developed by Ocean, the reins were handed off to GameTech, which to my knowledge had only published TV game show adaptations. If you like microscopic sprites forcing you to wear glasses to play, this is the game for you. Batman looks like Flatman. The game follows the plot line of the movie very closely, with you traversing your way through Gotham, fighting the Red Triangle Gang as you go. You will encounter Max Shreck, Catwoman, and the Penguin. The usual assortment of Bat gadgets are here, including the Bat Rope, smoke bombs, and Batarangs. The usual hindrance most widely associated with the Commodore and Amiga games during this time frame is only having one fire button. This game is no exception. It's not all bad though. There's a nice use of atmospheric music, although not Danny Elfman's original score. Also interspersed throughout the levels are quite a few digitized scenes taken straight from the movie. This game should not be confused with the point-and-click adventure on the MS-DOS platform. When the Amiga version was first solicited to the magazines, it was promised to be a port of the MS-DOS version. For whatever reason, they decided to change their minds, and we had to suffer the consequences. Number 2 brings us Gotham City Racer by Ubisoft for the PlayStation 1, released in 2001. The aim of the game is to take on the mantle of Batman, Nightwing, and Batgirl as you attempt to take down the dastardly criminals of Gotham City. One major difference, though, is all of the action takes place behind the wheel of the Batmobile or some other Bat vehicle. The game is set in the style of the new Batman Adventures cartoon. There are lots of clips from the cartoon spread throughout the 51 levels. Now, any game where I get to drive the Batmobile, especially 18 years ago when it wasn't so common, I'm in like Flynn. However, after playing the game for 5 minutes, I quickly changed my tune. The game controls like a turd in a swimming pool. I take that back. I think the turd would go around corners a bit better. Not only do the vehicles control terribly, but the levels are insanely long. As I mentioned, there are 51 of these levels to get through, but I think I finally tapped out at 8. Honorable mention goes to Batman by Software Creations for the Super Nintendo. This was either an alpha or a beta that was thankfully never released in the stores, but thanks to the wonderful internet, we have a chance to see it in all its glory. The game tries to be like Final Fight and Double Dragon, but unfortunately, it's terrible. There is no storyline and only 2 levels are implemented. There is also no sound. The animation is atrocious, and the Joker sprite isn't even finished. The speed of the game is nice, but the gameplay is terrible. The enemy AI is downright ridiculous, and there is only one enemy sprite to fight. The look of the game was designed to resemble the comic book and not the movies. According to what little info I could dig up, Software Creations used this game as a mock-up to acquire the Marvel Comics license. Sliding down the bat pole at number 1 is Batman Dark Tomorrow by Kemco for the Xbox, released in 2003. Rather than follow the storyline of the movies or the cartoons, they decided to stick to the source material. The game opens with a promising CG movie, but everything goes downhill from there. You take on the role of Batman as he attempts to stop Ra's al Ghul and the League of Assassins from taking over the world. There are lots of other Bat baddies to contend with, including Scarface and the Ventriloquist, Black Mask, and the Joker, among others. The game is a linear stealth-based action game, which gives you the usual assortment of Bat gadgets. The problem is, it was too much too soon and the game was littered with bugs. What the developers initially promised fell by the wayside after numerous delays. The game was originally set for a 2001 release date, but it did not hit the streets until late 2003. In my opinion, they should have delayed it another 25 years just to get it right. The PS2 version was canceled outright. The game does feature multiple endings, so if you have the constitution of a pit bull, or you're just downright stupid, be sure and check this game out. And there you have it, the top 5 worst retro Batman video games of all time. Quite honestly, I could have made a top 20 list. I had completely forgotten how bad those video games were. Since I only did a top 5 on the best of and worst of, let me know in the comments down below if you'd like me to continue doing these top 5 lists. Please be sure to subscribe, like, and share my content. It's the only way my channel can grow. I appreciate each and every one of you. Thanks for watching.